And welcome to the Wilson Center. Week 5 of Tulane Football. This is the Rutgers week. A couple things before we get started. Kickoff will be at 11:01 Central, 12:01 Eastern from High Point Solution Stadium in New Jersey. The game will be on ESPN News. We have a listing on the table, and I also sent it out yesterday of hopefully about every possible way you can see it on TV, on the radio, internet, and following on social media. So please make sure you pick that up. Also, just a reminder, after the Rutgers game on Saturday, we'll have a bye week, so there will be no press conference next week. Just if you guys need something, please holler at us. We'll get you the practice schedule on Sunday, as we have in the past. And now is our head coach, Curtis Johnson.
Thank you guys for coming out again. You know, it was a disappointing week for us. We thought we went up to Duke. We did go up to Duke, and I thought they were a very, very good football team. They were Coastal Division champions. They played for Florida State. Our team did some good things. You know, I was very impressed how we ran the ball. And, you know, the running of the ball was one of the things that we hadn't been able to do, not since my time here or for a long time. This young quarterback took us down the first drive, played well. And then after that, you know, they did some things different defensively, and he couldn't adjust to it, or the team didn't do a good job adjusting to what they did. Defensively, I thought after we settled down, I thought we played pretty decent. Special teams really hurt us when we lost our long snapper before the game. Kind of put me in a little bit of a frenzy that I had to, you know, do something different. I wanted to go for it. I didn't want to, you know, the first snap, we snapped it through the end zone. You know, it was 2 points for them, and it just kind of took me out of my little rhythm a little bit. So I said, look, we got to go for it. So I put our kids in a little bit of a bad position because I didn't really trust the center. You know, the quarterback, Matt Marfisi, the center, the snapper, the long snapper. Matt Marfisi did it the rest of the game. I thought he did a really good job. Lasanis should be back this week, hopefully. So we won't have that. If not, I think we'll prepare Matt better. On a different note, I got to mention this every week. What guys are doing in our conference are pretty good, and Ruffin gets the PowerPoint of the week again by beating North Carolina. I like what BYU's doing too against this power conference. Any questions?
Please raise your hand.
Coach, I know you had to think about this for about $10 million, but what can you do about your special teams in general? Because it's costing you games, and I know you've gone over and over as a guy who runs the program. What can you do?
Well, here's what we're doing right now. What we're doing is sometimes we got to take some starters off of kind of what we did at the University of Miami. We took some starters off of the regular downs and put them on special teams. I don't know if that's going to be a help. I really love our punt returner, you know, Teddy Veal. I think he's going to be a great player. You know, there's some learning pains that we're doing. Our kickoff return really only hurt us one time, you know, and that's because sometimes we got a different kicker every week. Our kickers hurt, and so we don't kick the ball where we want to, so it doesn't give us the chance. If we kick left, deep left, ball goes in the middle of the field, that's the way we're turning. Our young kids got to really see the ball and do those things. So we're working on it. I think we're doing a decent job of making some improvements. The kick, the snapper was just one of those things that I felt going into it that we were better, and we were getting better with the snapper, kicker, and operation, and then all of a sudden the snapper goes out, and so it cost us a penalty, and it cost us some points also.
Can you talk about what happened to him before the game?
He snapped on his fourth snap. He said he had a quad pull, and whatever that is, I guess that's this muscle in front of your leg, and he couldn't bend over anymore. So he couldn't snap because he couldn't bend, and so it was just, you know, we had to make some decisions before, and we kind of made the best decision we could with Matt.
What's more frustrating, you know, what you had in 2012 with a team that wasn't quite talented enough to compete a lot of weeks, or a team like this which is, you know, talented enough to win but is making mistakes repeatedly and costing itself games?
Well, the difference is it's always most frustrating to lose, but I think the difference is in 2012, some of the opponents we played wasn't, you know, these guys that we played. Georgia Tech's 4-0. They went to Virginia Tech. They just beat them. You know, you look at Duke, they're 4-0. They're probably going to beat the University of Miami this week, and they'll beat them. And then you look at Southeastern, they probably one of the best teams in Division I AA. So you really don't have a break. You go to Tulsa the first week, that's a toss-up game. You know, you go on the road and you got some young kids, and you miss that opportunity. Here's the frustration about this is, one thing in 2012, we did make some mistakes. we made a lot of mistakes, but we were good enough to overcome the mistakes, and we were experienced enough. We had some experienced players. 3 of those kids on that team playing in NFL. And so we love to have those guys back to help us with some leadership and some things. Well, now we got some kids now that's just they just feeling their way a little bit against some teams now that are seasoned teams. You look at these teams, and they're all veteran teams that we're going against. We got another one this week that's a veteran team. So we just got to play it, and we can't make mistakes.
Back up to special teams. Do you feel like you put in adequate time into the preseason? And is there something that you can do as far as time now, maybe especially with an open date coming up next week?
Yeah, we have had total practices devoted to special teams. Every double day that we had, which was 4 or 5 double days, the whole second practice was devoted to special teams. I think one of the problems is, I guess you say you got to put your eggs in one basket. If you got one long snapper and the long snapper goes out, snaps one over your head, you're just like, wow. And then then you got a young returner who's going to be a dynamic young player. I went through this with Devin Hester. I went through this with Roscoe Parrish. He missed one. But this kid's going to be a really, really good returner for us. But it's just sometimes you misjudge it. You're on the road. You're playing in a different venue. It's first time, and he got a little bit nervous. The kids coverage teams really hadn't really hurt us that bad. A couple times guys yip out the back end, and those things have happened. But it's the snapper center exchange, and it's the snapping over your head, and it's where the direction of the kicks are things that's really hurting us. But if you look at our coverages and you look at some of the stuff, it's it's been pretty decent.
Another thing that I know has probably kept you up at night a little bit has been the place kicking. What do you do there? I mean, I understand he's young and he's coming along, and this is part of the process. But at what point do you feel like you have to make a change? At what point do you look at Trevor Sims and go, hey?
Trevor's hurt right now, so I would love to have Trevor. I just don't. And I would say this: we went through competition with all those kickers, and by far, he was the one that came out the best of the competition. And it's just I would say this: I wish I hadn't had to play a true freshman in this situation, but I have to play a true freshman. We were so grateful that we had Cairo for the number of years that we had Cairo, and he struggled a little bit early on in his career, and then all of a sudden he began to get it. I think this kid's going to be a really good kicker. It's just the idea of sometime you ask a kid to do some things that he's not quite ready for, and I don't know if we got another guy in the program that I could say, okay, here's you handle the kicker. I love to see Trevor, but he's not practicing.
How much of his inconsistencies due to the operations issues, and how much of it is him?
The operation is getting better. The operation hadn't been perfect. It sometimes, when you snap the balls here and there and everywhere, any little thing with these young players, it kind of distracts them a little bit. But some of it is him. I'm not going to say it's all the operation, but he's not really that bad. It's just he gets in these funny positions where all of a sudden the operation's a little bit off and he can't recover from it.
And meanwhile, Cairo last year, I think it was the USMJ or the UL makes the operations can make a mistake there, and he still nails them on.
Yeah, well, he's been in a program for 4 years, and he was the Groza Award winner as a junior. He didn't miss one, and so he's practiced. He had millions of practice snaps, and he had summers. He was going to kicking clinics. Where this kid last year, this time, he was trying to find a prom date.
Was there any consideration to taking the lead out of the game? He has 9 interceptions, 8 touchdowns, but his interceptions have come at the most inopportune time. You guys have a chance to get some points on the board. Maybe take him off the field and let him watch a little bit. You feel like you haven't put too much on this one?
No, I don't think so. I think he's the best player, and I think we know he's the best player. I think our kids think he's the best player. I think you got to grow up sometime. And the 9 interceptions. Here we go. We go to the one, the pick 6. I'm telling the kid. We all tell him, hey, look, the Harvey's going to be open. Throw to Harvey into the boundary. Well, this is the first time they ever ran this defense. They used to run this defense. The Gators used to run this when I was at the University of Miami, 2-trap. Well, they brought the corner inside to stop the run. He's taking the backside B gap. Well, it looks like cover 3 to the kid, where the corner is down inside in the box, and he's standing right there. He throws, he gets underneath it, and that's what happens. And the safety rolls over the top. Usually they were doing it the other way. The safety was down, the corner was rolling. So it's just one of those things where this kid is going through a learning experience. We look at film and these teams don't pressure us, and all of a sudden they say, okay, we got to pressure this young kid. They put a lot of pressure on him, and I'm telling him constantly, look, sooner or later, you're going to hit a couple of these throws, and these receivers are going to make some good catches for you. And what's going to happen is they're going to stop blitzing you, and then you're going to go, 28 out of 30 because people will fear it. But as of right now, we simplified the playbook pretty much for him. He's moving the team pretty well. When he gets down in the red zone, when his field shrinks, he tends to anticipate a little too much, or even, I'm not going to say guess. He sees what he sees. He can explain it, so he's not guessing. But so I think he's the right guy. I think he'll get through it. It's just right now it's frustrating because, again, why aren't we playing some good teams?
Because we haven't asked enough special teams questions yet. On your own kickoff returns, you can see whether it's 7 yards, 10 yards, 12 yards. What's the issue going there? It looks like he's kind of running in slow motion.
Well, again, and I'd love to say, I got a guy back there that's been doing this for a couple of years, but we had a returner. He's no longer with us, and now all of a sudden, and we spend most of our time with him. Now all of a sudden we put Hilliard back there, who's right now the best option for us right now, and he's still feeling his way. It is what it is, and I think he'll get better. That's another position that we personneled a little bit better this week, where we're going to get some starters on there to try to help it out some. But he's another young kid that, and you look through the program, you're looking for somebody else to do it, but no one has really done it. And Hilliard right now is the guy. You love to have some guys that's not in the program here, but it's the guy that we got to go with.
One of the things I'm curious about, the targeting call, what was the official definition about the
Well, he said it wasn't truly targeting. He said it just wasn't that he didn't hit him with the helmet. I don't, when I watch it again, I sent it in, and they said it was inconclusive. But we just not getting those calls. It's no different than, look. Here's the funniest call of the game. The first play when Marfisi snaps it over the guy's head, the guy looked like he clearly jumps. He jumps, he snaps it, and then so the ref goes, well, the reason why I didn't call it because he wasn't in the neutral zone. Well. Okay, but we can't get a break now. Okay.
You have the running situation with Everett. He clearly had his best game. How important is he to balance out Sherman and to get some holes and really help you down in distance situations as much as anything? How much does that help?
Absolutely. That's one of the most encouraging things that I think we got. I think we can run the ball against some teams. Now, here's what we got to do. We got to stop getting in third down. What hurts Tanner is all of a sudden, instead of being in 3rd and 2, it's 3rd and 18, or 3rd and 3, it's 3rd and 15. If you look at our stat line, that's what it is. It's never 3rd and manageable. It's always 3rd and distance because we shoot ourselves in the foot with a jump off sides, with a holding penalty, or something like that. I'd rather him not to hold because I think Tanner can get it off and avoid some of these sacks. So I'd agree. When we get to these teams where hopefully this year we get to a point where we playing teams where we are very similar to, and we can run it and we can throw it and we can balance it out a little bit, Tanner would be much, much better. But you ask him to do something that, some guys a year ago couldn't do against these teams. Virginia Tech couldn't do it against Georgia Tech. And Duke's beating everybody. The guy from Miami may not be able to do it against them this week. So you ask him to do some stuff that he's probably not quite ready to do.
Now, a large part of that as well, you mentioned it down the distance, penalties. It seems like every time you guys get rolling, there's a false start, there's a holding. At what point does it have to subside?
It needs to stop now, and that's what we talked about this week. I just got to start taking them out and putting somebody else in, and at risk of playing a lesser player or playing someone else. Sometimes the younger kids we're young. It's no more younger. It's no more older. We got 4 games under our belt. Now it's time to let's knuckle down and let's do the best we can, and let's stop doing that. It's silly.
When you look at last year, turnover margin was such a big part of your success. And now that you're playing a young quarterback, when you look at this, is this a long-term decision that you're just you feel that the games far outweigh what's going on right now, and that's why you're sticking with it?
No, I'm sticking with him because I think he's the best player. I think he's the best quarterback that we have, and I think he's in a learning process. I think we're not getting the amount of turnovers that we like to. I think we got to, try to play from a lead. Last year we forced some more turnovers because we did a little bit more. The teams were a little bit different. you know, you're playing the option. Well, they don't turn it over. You know, Duke is a very, very seasoned team. They don't really turn it over. We actually got two turnovers from them. You know, so I think last year was a little bit different. We playing these spread teams that threw it around a lot. And, you know, our guys on the back end are really good, but our guys on the back end now, they got to become tacklers because these teams are running the ball. We're going to play Rutgers this week, and I'm telling you, they're going to run it, and 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 then they're going to throw it when they have to. You know, that's what these teams do. That's what ACC does in these other conferences.
Glad this one doesn't necessarily apply to you. You saw what happened the other night with Florida State. Winston comes out in a uniform before the game. What is your policy when you have a player suspended? Is he allowed on the sidelines or?
Well, absolutely not. Absolutely, he's not in the. He can sit in the stands. You know, we've suspended guys before. You know, I've got calls about let's not suspend guys because it hurts the team. Well, if you get suspended for a half, you come out for the half in a uniform, but if you're suspended for a game, just go sit in the stands. You know, you just watch. You know, because you got to take something away from kids that they really love and remove them from it. Don't let them be a part of it. Just remove them right away from it. You know. Well, I think character is a big thing now. You see what's going on in the NFL. You see what's going on in our game. I think the big thing nowadays is young men and their character. And, you know, just with the character, you know, it just, you're always looking at him, you're questioning, well, what is he going to do next? And it's just like anything else. It's who you trust. You know, can you trust him? Will a team invest millions of dollars in a guy who, can you trust him?
This week, I mean, it seems like this week, and particularly Sunday, you probably had to, I guess, deal with confidence issues maybe with some of the players. I mean, you know, they're expecting a big season. They believe in themselves, and, you know, due to the program, you and I know that they, you know, are stronger, more veteran. But, you know, you can't tell that to the team going into the game. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Coming out of it, feeling kind of whipped and like they've made a lot of mistakes. You're getting a lot of heat from media, from fans. What do you do with this team to kind of keep their confidence and regroup?
The one thing they got to believe in, they got to believe in the 24-hour rule. You know, and our rule is when you got 24 hours, celebrate, lose, got 24 hours, we got to go on with the next team. And we try to do that. We try to establish that. But we also got to take ownership on what we're doing. And as coaches, you know, I'm the first one to blame. Special teams been shoddy at best. You know, our penalties, that's on me. And so I've taken ownership in that. I like them to take ownership in theirs, whatever their little issues are, whatever. You know, there's always an open door policy. Come on in, we could talk about it. I think the confidence will come when you just begin to play and you get out there and you start playing. And like today, I thought we threw and caught the ball pretty good today. I mean, we were around and Tanner threw it well, and it you know, practice looked pretty good. We've been having some good practices. It's just, you know, we hadn't played well because we're playing against some opponents that are very, very good football teams.
On that point, what did you focus on in practice today?
Well, we focused on some of the stuff that Rutgers is doing. Their defense is a little bit different from something that we hadn't seen. So we're doing a little bit of a couple different things, a couple different wrinkles offensively. I think, you know, defensively, you got to stop the run. If we can stop the run, we'll have a chance.
What are you looking at defensively? Be specific about what you're having to adjust to.
They're big and physical, and they're a good running football team.
Very sorry. And then, is there anything mechanically going wrong this week?
No, nothing. He's throwing it in there good. I mean, it's not mechanics at all.
Okay, last question is, you know, as special teams, I know you have a lot of coaches that contribute to special teams coaching. Are you making any adjustments there? Are you pulling more from the bench, or, you know, you kind of sticking with the same thing, just trying to tighten the ship?
No, we're like I said, we're putting starters. We're getting starters from scrimmage down. So we're trying to move better starters in special teams. We're trying to make it, I guess I call it a little bit more special in our special teams play. But, you know, some of it is just, you know, we just got to get the kicking, snapping, and punting operation down. If we get that down cleaner, because our numbers aren't as good as they were a year ago. And again, you know, we had Cairo, and Cairo was special. And then just getting these kick coverage teams to cover like they're capable of doing, getting some cover guys in, and you know, I think we'll get that done.
You haven't pulled in any other coaches, though, I guess is what I'm saying.
Well, we all do it we do it all as a group. You know, we do it as everybody has a phase. Jason is the quote coordinator, but he's the one who ramrods it. But everybody has a phase in the program, and we all do it together. We meet on it and we do it together.
Darren Monroe was your first big recruit here. You talked about the impact that he would have on the program because of being having local to him. Has he been as good or better than imagine?
Much better, much better. You know, there's not a program where you could say a true freshman could come in and a true freshman could play and make a contribution. He's like the leader. He's the quarterback on the football field. He's very, very active. You know, I think that's the one player that everybody has to know where he is. He's on the ball. He's on the line. He's our Ed Reed. He's our Palomalu. You know, when I was in the league, those were the guys that Darian was very similar to. You know, what he brings is he brings a lot of leadership, but he plays so hard and he plays with a lot of heart and soul and vigor. You know, you just love guys like him.
How big of a deal was that when you got him because of all the other teams that maybe wanted him, teams that probably are highest status football-wise?
Yeah, you know what, I think Lionel did a fantastic job, you know, selling him as a DB and selling, you know, Darian on staying home. And I think it was a big get for us, and he's been huge here, you know, just getting on the field and playing and you know, you watch him hit people, you watch him run guys down. You know, he's just a heart and soul, and he's a guy that, you know, he's one of the guys in the community that you know, recruits really look up to. You know, I remember recruiting like Leonard, and Leonard said, well, if Darian's coming, I'm coming. And then, you know, the linebacker Williams, Williams said, well, he's from my school, I'm going to come. So, you know, he is Darren Williams. So it's, you know, he's one of those guys that has a magnetism about him.
I was going to ask my last question. When you got him, obviously that opened the door for players from the parishes and the West Bank to kind of look at Tulane in a different light. Can you give me some examples of how he's changed your recruiting base?
Well, just River Parish wise, if you just look at the guys that we are even getting in on at the River Parish, and you know, I can't say names, but we getting some guys in our suite. We getting some guys around here that, you know, who understand who Darian Monroe was and who he is and the kind of impact that he had on you know, just them and the type of player that he was. You know, it's hard to get the first one because what happens is they'll say, I want to go here, I want to go there, I want to go there. And all of a sudden you get a Monroe, and you say, okay, well, Tulane is okay. If Darren's going to Tulane, then I can kind of do the same thing. Yeah, you know, look at Leonard, you look at Darren Williams, you look at him, you know, a lot of other players who knew him, Royce and those guys, they all knew each other. And Darian was the one guy who was calling and who was, you know, was saying, I think, you know, he knew Tanzel Smart, he knew a bunch of these guys just being local, and he's the one guy that go out there vocally and say, come on, let's come to Tulane, let's make this our team.
Let's get off the special teams.
That's okay.
Is it correct to say that on a team that maybe doesn't have the greatest margin of error, offensively and defensively, that the importance of special teams is magnified because those can be such game-changing plays? I'm thinking of the fumble on the punt yesterday. Very much so. That,
I would say that the special teams is probably the thing that if there's going to be some teams that you're going to get outplayed offensively. There's some teams that you hope not, but you may get outplayed defensively. But special teams, you got to outplay them, and special teams hadn't held up their end of the bargain yet. You know, besides turnovers, I think the special team play, just the operation and stuff like that, hadn't been very good.
On your kickers, does it come down to a matter of evaluation when you sign them? Are you using scholarships or
Yeah.
using scholarships? Does it come down to evaluation or development when they get here, or?
Well, we just got caught in a situation where when we had Cairo, we didn't have a kicker. We didn't have a kicker in the wings. You know, you usually have a Cairo, and then you go and you get another one. Well, a year Cairo came out, the kickers were like, we're not coming here. You got a Junior Groza Award winner. Why would I come here and play for you? And so then that last year, you know, everybody want to say, okay, I want to come in. I want to be a true freshman. I want to be a starter. Well, Cairo's year, you know, when he won a Groza, he was a junior, and you're recruiting every kicker in America because knowing that he has another year, nobody wants to come, you know, because if you feel, I want to be a 4-year starter, I want to be a kicker. So then now all of a sudden you like a kid to come, red shirt, watch Cairo, watch the work ethic, watch everything. Well, now you didn't have that, and so all of a sudden you got a kid that's just trying to feel his way a little bit that I think is going to be a good player. He's just feeling his way. Look, my wife's gonna kill me. She's gonna kick me out. I'm gonna be in another room if I keep doing what I'm doing. Anything? Thank you, guys.